Tonight on Podcast Them Down, es ist mein Teil. Hail Metal Nation, this is Podcast Them Down. I'm Tim. Joining me with a rubber band around most of his head is Matt. And and he's gone. And Doug, who does not have a rubber band around most of his head. What the fuck was that? So, we're talking about RAMMSTEIN. How many other ways are there to mispronounce that band's name? RAMMSTEIN. So,
RAMMSTEIN.
So their tour, I guess their tour is over. I assume. It's now late October. We're recording this in late October. I saw them.
What's that, like August?
I saw them in August at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia.
I saw them in September at the Coliseum in Los Angeles.
I saw them in Baltimore like 6 years ago.
Where they hung our state's flag upside down inadvertently.
Oh yeah, inadvertently.
Yeah, thanks, RAMMSTEIN. Well, so we should probably address the elephant in the room. Is there's going to be the purists who are going to say RAMMSTEIN isn't metal.
RAMMSTEIN's not metal.
What? So
That's
what do you say to
as a
that?
purist. I feel like they're hard rhythmic rock.
Well, what are they? Are they on Metal Archives? That's the first stop. They are not there. They are not there. So perhaps
they're kind of too big for any scene. It's like because they're not. Who likes them? It's really mostly metal people at this point. You would have called them 20 years ago industrial metal, and they have some, craft work, electronic influences in there, but yeah, they're somehow the most derivative and band ever, and that derivativeness is of no significance to what they do.
It's true. And they've spawned quite a number of ripoffs that sing in German, even if they're American or British, or it's a very distinct style. They call it Neue Deutsche Härte.
Yeah, I'm just reading this. I guess that makes sense.
New German hardness.
Yeah.
And it wasn't they're the biggest band, and I don't even know if they would identify with that label, but that's definitely a real style that, as from what I'm aware, pretty much plays well in Germany and Eastern Europe. And I'm sure a lot of us have been listening to Ukrainian music and all, more awareness of that, and you can hear the gutturalness that tends to be more common in music out there, which RAMMSTEIN very much embodies. But there were a few bands. The was one. Icebreaker, that's said in German, who are very successful and on major labels in Germany and in Europe, but we've never heard of.
Yeah, it's kind of like this, like Central Europe East sort of music belt.
I found Icebreaker. EISBRECHER.
They're phenomenal, yeah.
But I would also put them in like the Ministry, 9 Inch Nails, like even like Art of Noise, maybe like industrial post like it's
okay.
It's an equal and opposite reaction to hair metal, maybe.
How is Ministry on Metal Archives? They had that one album where they were ripping off new Slayer, but it's not like a good reason to be on Metal Archives when RAMMSTEIN isn't. And it even says right here industrial metal, which is that's how I would describe RAMMSTEIN.
And
whether
I
it's
think
true metal or not, you can You can feel free to argue
Rammstein
about
would
that.
deserve more to be on Metal Archives than Ministry, I would think.
Yeah, well,
Right?
it probably has to do with okay, well, I remember in the 90s, Du Hast, everyone was fucking sick of that song, and it had that keyboard in it, and
That's so industrial. That's what the...
well, I would say if that's all you heard, then no, they're not metal, they're like heavy dance music, but
Yeah,
they have released so many metaler things since then.
Mhm.
Like, I don't think they should continue to be excluded from Metal Archives. But RAMMSTEIN also doesn't care. They're too, like you said, they're too big.
Yeah.
they don't need their little entry on Metal Archives.
Yeah.
Oh,
Off the top, I believe the
the
band they cite as their biggest influence, and Tim, we'll get to this in the show, but they did that really electronic interlude. It was very much in the Kraftwerk style. Like,
Yeah.
Kraftwerk is about the only band they'll ever discuss as an influence. A lot of people would call them a commercial version of the Laibach.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fair. Now, Laibach has actually completely ripped off RAMMSTEIN, like even harder than anything RAMMSTEIN did to Laibach, other than take their logo, sort of. I guess crosses are universal. But yeah, their relationship with the U.S. is fascinating. We won't get into the documentary. The great documentary is on how they feel about this country and their experience of this country in the 90s, especially. But it's worth noting they're from East Germany, so their experience growing up is much different than those of the West German metal bands, which I assume are most of the big ones in the 80s. And I think they listened to a lot of pirate radio, of punk music, all that, and somehow ended up in the NDH style. And in this country, they that first album they released was very big in Europe. They kind of broke in this country with Senshut, which did go platinum back in the day when that was possible.
Mm-hmm.
It was Du Hast, and I think that sort of the first record actually is pretty metal at points. Senshut, I've always had a love-hate relationship with. They really, because it's just so simple, but they really have the best guitar tone ever. Like, I don't know how they...
Well, I don't know what they were using then, but now they use Engels, which is, it's a German brand, and all of your favorite metal bands also use Engel. So...
Yeah, and I'd say they started to get more complex. Like, I always go to, like you describe them, they're kind of like symphonic hardcore in German, except but on Mutter and beyond, they definitely switched to a more a kind of a deeper, more metal sound.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Regarding their history here, they again, Du Hast and all was a huge hit. The Family Values tour off the top of my head, but they didn't really fit in with the Korn, the alternative thing, which they kind of got grouped in with, and like industrial as mass market, like Nine Inch Nails or Ministry was on the wane by then.
Yeah,
and Mutter was their last album that they really actively promoted in this country, and then somehow they ignored this country for nearly a decade and had left this country as like the second headliner on moderately big tours, and then came back able to fill arenas in 2012, and now they can fill stadiums somehow.
Yeah, which brings us to the shows. So I was one of those who I was like, oh, it's that Du Hast band. No, I don't like them. Until you, Doug, dragged me to a show. somewhat against my will. And you're like, you're going to love it. And it was Baltimore, wasn't it?
Well, the first one we went to was East Rutherford, New Jersey. Yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah. And we went and there was so much fire. Now, the crowd did look like a Hot Topic vomited out several thousand people. But, I have told everyone ever since, it doesn't matter if you like them, go see the show. Go listen to something else. If you don't want to listen to RAMMSTEIN, it's the show alone is worth the price of admission. Because it's all fire and sparks and effects and lights and did I say fire? Because there's lots of fire.
Yeah, and they don't cheap out on doing the music live for real. On top of all of that.
Yeah, and they're entertaining, particularly Till the singer's various get-ups and effects and performance.
Yeah, and just
and then also the keyboardist, Flake, I think his name is. And he's like your comic relief, but not in a terribly goofy way. Like, just saying that makes me sound like, if someone said that to me, I'd be like, I'm not going. But they do it to great effect. For example, the first time we saw, was it the first time? One of the times we saw them, they threw the keyboardist in a bathtub and showered him with sparks. And then he emerged wearing a sparkly suit. So
the time I saw him, he had like treadmills.
Yeah, he still has the treadmills.
Yeah, so he was like walking in various directions the whole time, and he would like,
and it's in tempo with the music.
Yeah. But he had like 2 treadmills as soon as he would walk back and forth between multiple treadmills. So that was a fun gimmick.
Yeah. So I just wanted to document me seeing them in Philly and compare notes with you seeing them in LA. So, first of all, Philly,
it's a metal town.
Yeah, so they played at Lincoln Financial Field, which is where the Eagles suck. And write your angry emails to tim@podcastthemdown.com. If you can spell that, fucking Eagles fans. Anyway, wait, where did we land on the metalness of the Eagles?
They're actually pretty high. They were not top 10, but they were fairly up there.
Oh, if they're not top 10, I don't care. So, anyway, in Philly, all the sports complexes, so where the Phillies, the Flyers, the 76ers, and the Eagles play is all just one big complex that's all just parking lots and arenas and stadia in south of South Philly. And if you drive from the south, from Maryland and Delaware into the city, you drive by all this stuff right before the bridge that spits you out right in the middle of the city. And so driving in, it didn't occur to me, they got you by the balls for parking. Because if you're driving in, you are paying $35 for parking. There are no options. That is the option. Unless you go to
park in the neighborhood.
There, you can't. It's like a mile hike if you do that. And I'm sure there's they don't want, like, people are onto that, I'm positive about. So yeah, so that was surprise number one. So I was general admission. So I got a special wristband so I could go down on the field. And the beer prices at Lincoln Financial Field were ridiculous. Like, about as bad as the Capitals are now. So, if not worse. So I bought an $8 water. And they're like, oh yeah, the bathrooms are over there. Like, as you walk in, they told everyone walking onto the field, bathrooms are over there. The bathrooms were just in the tunnel where the Eagles come out. So it's dark because they didn't turn lights on. And it was just about 3 dozen porta potties that you can't see once you're inside. So I made sure to go early because how many mishaps are there going to be after people are drinking their $17 beers? And I nursed my $8 water all night because I didn't want to have to use the facilities again. So I parked myself right in front of one of the delay towers. You know what those are? So those are the trusses with the speakers that aren't at the stage. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the front of general admission is called the foyer zone for RAMMSTEIN. And I wasn't up there, but I was very close to the rail. But I also had my own rail to lean back on. And I did this during Metallica as well. Just get in front of the delay tower, and then you got a rail to rest on. What I thought was funny as I was walking in, as they had an announcement going where it was like, all general admission ticket holders for RAMMSTEIN go to gate, blah, 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 blah. They said RAMMSTEIN on the thing. It's RAMMSTEIN. So, and then I'm going to skip over the set because I bet it was the same set. So we can discuss that in a minute. But any slow parts of the night were, I had entertainment because there was a couple fighting the whole time.
Oh no.
So I guess this lady's friend like wouldn't stand up for her or something. I only caught bits and pieces because I'm at a fucking RAMMSTEIN concert. And
that's me.
Yeah, basically. But the guy was like, first of all, the guy was like, what? I can't hear you. And he had to keep saying what. And she was getting frustrated with that. And also, RAMMSTEIN was on stage like the whole time. So, and she's getting upset that he won't listen to her. And at a certain point, she storms off. So how many songs after she storms off do you think he went to go look for her? Because I know the answer.
3.
You're very close. It was 4.
Wow.
He's like, I guess I better go find her. I assume that's where he went. He never came back. Neither did she.
RAMMSTEIN does not have short songs either. That's a good 12 minutes minimum.
It was a long time. Yeah. So, and before that, I found a new place that's not Pat's or Gino's that makes a good cheesesteak. So,
Talk of the town?
No, it was like John's pork roast or something like that. Next time I go, I'm going to get the pork roast. It's something Was the
RAMMSTEIN song like something that would have jogged his mind, like America or Pussy or something? It's like, oh shit.
Oh, fuck. That'd be great. It wasn't.
Du hast. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was, I believe that was all the highlights. Oh, there's a break. I forget which interlude. So they do a main set, and then they do an encore, and then another encore. And between one of those, I forget which, the cameraman starts zooming in on chicks, and many of them started flashing the camera, and it just went on for what seemed like a long time. And that was the first time I've seen something like that in a long time. You know, probably, I don't know, 20 years. It was a very like late 90s, early 2000s thing to be doing.
Like something you had seen in that Woodstock 99 documentary?
Yeah, like right before everything went to shit. You know,
in Los Angeles, they you probably go in there. Yeah.
Well, they
flipped the script. They did it to men.
Okay, well,
half.
Some dudes did it too, and it was kind of funny, you know. But like the atmosphere was very light during that. Yeah, and then they came back out and did the rest of the set. That about everything. Oh, and then like tolls tolls from Maryland to Philly have gone up again, but it's not obvious because it's all Easy Pass now.
Oh, yeah.
So that's fun. So what was LA like?
Well, so getting to the Coliseum and parking at the Coliseum is a fucking nightmare.
Sounds about right.
Because I missed one turn because a guy lied to me. It took an hour to turn around.
Oh man! So Philly, point for Philly because it's like right off the highway. Just
And
take a couple turns and you're there.
There's not much. The parking there's very limited, and much of it was taken up by RAMMSTEIN's 40 trucks. So most of the Coliseum parking is the property of USC. I want to say it was $55, maybe even been more than that.
For parking?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's everything's just crazy down here. You just get used to it. The Coliseum is certainly one of the most impressive stadiums I've ever been to. Part of the reason why Los Angeles didn't have football teams for 20 years is the Coliseum's a historically protected place. They weren't going to rip that out or modify it, and it's designed to fit 100,000 people.
Wow.
So even with over half of it blocked off for RAMMSTEIN, there were still they nearly sold out the first night, so they added a second night. I went the first night. It was 40,000 people easily. Most of the bleachers that they made open were full. And what's so insane about the size of that arena is you could find places with great sight lines to the stage up. Like you kind of walk down into the bowl, and it's those first seats that they've maintained like the Colosseum in Rome, which is how it was built. So, just slabs of stone, not seats. And but sort of on that upper part, you get an amazing view of the stage and be 20 feet away from people still.
Oh
wow.
No, that would have been nice. Yeah, the Eagles Stadium is nice. It's just it's just a big new stadium.
Yeah.
It doesn't hold 100,000 people. And there were empty seats, but they were all like at the very top, which I'm not sure they even sold tickets for. Like people might have just gone up there. I did remember something else that happened at the Philly show. So, but
okay,
we'll come back to it because I bet it's going to lead to a rant.
The crowd is interesting. RAMMSTEIN's always had a special relationship with Mexico, and there are a lot of Latino folks, of course, in the metro area. So it was they were well represented in that audience. But it seemed to be like 90s rock people and metalheads. Yeah,
it was mostly 90s rock people. It once again looked like in Philly at least, that Hot Topic had thrown up everywhere, and perhaps everyone's more bloated than they were the last time they stepped into a Hot Topic.
Yeah, it was just crazy how people, this is just comes with growing up, but how these kids half our age know these songs so well. It's even more crazy with Priest and Metallica and that kind of thing. But yeah, there didn't, at least where I was in general admission, there weren't too many people that didn't know all the music. So that's awesome.
I did not know all the music because somehow I missed the part where they put out an album.
Oh, and I was going to, that's right? A really good album, Tim. You should buy it. It's much better than that 2009 one. Yeah.
I bought it after the show, because they opened with the song off of it. I was like, what is this?
What the fuck is this?
Yeah, there were a few. They played probably like 4 or 5 songs off of it. The other thing that happened at the very beginning, they say, please don't film at all.
Oh, Yeah, and everyone filmed the whole thing. Yeah.
Yes. And well, so it was funny because their intro tape, the second the lights go down, everyone pulls out their phones and starts filming and they film nothing because it's like a 4 or 5 minute intro tape before anything happens.
Catch me.
So it's like right after they say don't film, everyone wastes all their time filming nothing. And but like anytime something cool happened, which was often, everyone pulled out their fucking phones. And I hate it because when you're a general admission, if you pull your phone up here, which is what everyone was doing, it means people behind you can't see. And I was getting very annoyed, but not as annoyed as the guy next to me. Oh, Matt's gone. And he's back. I was getting annoyed at it, but not as annoyed as the guy next to me. Because this dude, and unless you're up front, your video is shit. No one's going to watch it. Stop doing it. You're like, hey, and all you're going to do with that video is put it on YouTube and no one's going to watch it. Or you're going to try to force your friends and they're going to go, hey, that's cool, man. Can we like do something else? No, I have more videos. Anyway, that's what everyone does with their shitty concert videos. Stop fucking filming concerts and just be in the moment, please. Anyway, so I think it was during Mind Tile, which had a very cool thing happen during it. Guy pulls out his phone and guy next to me taps this guy on his shoulder and he goes, I don't want to fucking watch the concert on your phone all night. And he goes, man. And he's like trying to, and so he shoves him. And
whoa.
The guy, yeah, but the guy was seriously too focused on getting his good, shitty video from hundreds of feet away than dealing with the guy who shoved him. And, yeah, me and him were going like, fuck this guy's problem. Someone should smack the phone out of his hand. But you know, the guy tried, but he kept filming. So, and
wow.
You can watch his shitty ass videos if you Google RAMMSTEIN Philly 2022 and find the farthest away video you can find.
Yeah,
on general admission. So the let's talk fire real quick. So the stage has this big tower on it. And so it's a very vertical stage. Lots and lots and lots of lights. There's lots of fire in the front. There's fire at the top of it. And then on the delay towers behind, there's also fire that comes out. So when they hit the big fire cues, you were surrounded by heat. For general admission. It wasn't on one side of you, it was all around you. And I wasn't expecting that. I was like, holy shit. So that was cool. I'm looking at the set list now and I'm trying to remember if there was any specific things that happened during during some of the songs. The opener was a piano duo called Duo Albaillard. They're French. They played like it stopped being interesting after about 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And they played for a good half hour. Mm-hmm. All right. They I remember during Link Zoo Drive Fear, they the whole point of that song is we're not Nazis, stop calling us Nazis. But when they do that song, they have lots of fascist imagery. And that was very jarring the way they just put it out there because they like unroll these red banners and stuff like that. I bet there was fire during Mine Heart's Brent. So that's My Heart Burns. I remember... Was Radio, when they did Radio, is that when the guy went in the DJ booth and went up the elevator, up the tower on the stage? I assume your set was the same as my set.
Yeah. That sounds right. Yeah, it's coming right after Deutschland.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's when they kind of went kind of craft work for a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, well, it says Deutschland was remixed by Richard Z. Kruspa, which is the guitarist, I believe. So maybe that was the elevator thing. So he like acted like a DJ, and I think a bunch of the guys came out in these LED stick figure suits.
Oh, that's right. I forgot all about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so they were dancing, and all the lights came down, and they lit up. So they wore these black suits, but there was LED stick figures on them. So they're dancing, and they look like stick figures dancing. That was pretty cool. Doesn't sound very metal at all. My favorite part, of course, is Mein Teil, which is a song about a cannibal. And during this song, Till, the singer, boils Flake, the keyboardist, in a cauldron with increasingly large flamethrowers. So he throws them in the cauldron and uses a flamethrower, and then Flake comes out. He's like, haha. And so Till gets a bigger one. And that happens a few iterations of that. Then, at some point,
they did the dick cannon again, right?
Yes, that was the end of the first encore, which I believe the first encore started at one of the delay towers, where at least in Philly. So the opening band played on a delay tower, not on the main stage, which was weird. They built a stage on top of it, not on top of the high part, on top of the shelter at the bottom, right? So RAMMSTEIN just appeared there and did a weird version of like a different version of Engel, a mellow version. And last time we saw them, Till had the giant metal wings when they did Engel, but this one was like a piano version. And then they all rowed boats across the audience back to the main stage. And then and then the dick cannon came out when they played Pussy.
Yeah, and you either get Pussy or America, since they're the same song, essentially. And
I prefer America to Pussy, and I feel like the dick cannon would work for America too.
Me too, because I'm a patriot.
Yeah.
And it says here the second encore was Rammstein, Ich will and Adieu. So I don't know if I would have preferred a different second encore. but it's still a good show.
The Suns, I see why you were a little because they didn't get the tour for the last record either. So this is kind of like two newer records. Like it's like 40% of the song, the track list, or set list. It was a great show. It was the right set for what they were doing, but it just generically as a fan, there's definitely some stuff you would want to hear that wasn't
here. Yep. But overall, like I said, it doesn't actually matter what they play. It's still worth it. And unless you have anything else, I wanted to close with an interesting factoid I learned. They buy all of their fuel locally because they don't want to ship it across the country. And that is a logistics thing I never thought of. Where do they acquire all their fuel if they're on tour? No, it's all locally supplied, so that way they're not driving across the country with explosives. Isn't that neat?
Yeah,
like I'm talking about fuel, fire, and that which I desire.
No, I'm talking about mine hurts, Brent.
Oh, okay.
I assume this is probably standard for all the bands, but like you never see a gas truck going with the tour buses.
Yeah, it's probably not even legal to transport a lot of that. Well, you need massive precautions. But yeah, it's worth I was going to say, this is the first time they've done their full European stadium tour in this country. Before what we saw before was merely their slightly scaled down arena show. So yeah, it was absolutely insane. It's just an escalation of everything. And when all the by the end with sun and all that, with they're using all the various fire modules, it's like daylight in there,
Right.
and it visibly goes up like 8 degrees.
Yeah. And during a due, I believe, or maybe the outro tape after that, they get in the elevator. They set the tower on fire, and then they get in an elevator and ascend to the top of it. And then
That's right.
And then at the very end, the light shuts off and they're gone. And
That's impressive.
And it's not clear how or when they get down. Like, do they have to wait for everyone to leave, or is there a shaft they can descend?
You're here for another 4 hours. Get used to it.
Who farted? You see, in German,
Oh,
to fart means to drive, so.
it's the keyboard guy.
I did find it interesting what markets they felt confident to sell out, which totally makes sense. Like, if I recall, there's not a full, like, it's all dates with a lot of, or cities, markets with a lot of expats or a lot of metal people. It's like Boston, Philly, New Jersey, Chicago, Minneapolis, 2 dates in Los Angeles, and 4 dates in Mexico City. And that's it.
Oh, wow. That would have been great.
I mean, man, I would have loved to go to RAMMSTEIN in Mexico City. That'd be
Well, next
fucking
time, if we
metal.
get more patrons, we'll do it on location in Mexico City.
Hell yeah.
Join the Patreon. Don't go to steelresolve.com. It was hacked. I haven't fixed it yet.
Wait, SteelResolve.com was hacked?
Like, all the back end's still there, but the front page gets redirected to some weird shit. So,
SteelResolve.
hope you like Filipino men.
I mean,
What do you see?
what the
Yeah,
fuck
that's what I
is
said.
this?
Hopefully by the time this airs, I'll have fixed it. But,
Who will be King of New York 2021?
yeah.
Derrida was studying at Harvard Educational Institution.
So why
in the
did I go
late
to Philly and not Baltimore?
Yeah,
Baltimore was originally, when they announced the 2020 tour, which is when they were originally supposed to come, that was a Baltimore date. But when they rescheduled it for 2022, they dropped the Baltimore date. So,
Well, it was a little more duplicitous than you state, Tim, because it was originally announced as a Baltimore date. However, they scheduled it in the worst place on earth, FedEx Field in Landover.
oh, really? I forgot that detail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
oh,
then,
that's
so
awful.
Philly was much better. Yeah.
I agree, except for tolls. I don't want to go to FedEx Field.
should I be clicking all these links?
No, stop
yes.
it.
Oh,
Close them. All right. Until until next time, Metal Nation, keep it Felprint. Fire.
how come your own becomes necessary by me personally, Lone? You the cash you may need quickly for those who have skilled and urgent economic setback, such as a crisis space, see medical bills or automobile repairs.